This video shows you how to build a life insurance financial statement model and dividend discount model for FIG investment banking. I'll show you how to do it with the keyboard and without the mouse. Subscribe, hit the like button, buy my books on Amazon Kindle Publisher. Links in the description below. Let's get into the video. To open the File Explorer, I'll press Windows key 1, Shift Tab to get over to the vertical menu. I'll use the arrow keys and Enter key to get to today's model. Press Enter to open it, Alt Tab, Alt F4 to close. Alt F4 to close the pop-up menu. I'll move to the top. First thing to note for today's video is the color coding scheme. Blue values are hard-coded, black values are formulaic. I want to show you how you can actually test to see whether that's true. So to select all the blue hard-coded values with the keyboard, you do F5, Alt S as in Sierra, O as in Oscar, press Enter. And it selects all of them for you. If you want to select all the formulaic numbers, F5, Alt, S as in Sierra, F as in Foxtrot, press Enter. And you can see the Microsoft Excel software has selected all the formulaic cells. So that's a good set of keyboard shortcuts to know that F5 go to Special menu when you're checking your own work or checking the work of others if they have a color coding scheme. For today's video, you can see 3 historical years of data and 5 years of projections. I have assumptions hard-coded in gross written premium growth rates for both life and non-life businesses, the life insurance provisions growth rate, how much of the life insurance provisions are unit linked, so I'm assuming 19%, property and casualty provisions growth rate, intangible amortization, I straight line that's equal to F as in Foxtrot 15. I've got assumptions for depreciation as a percentage of beginning property, plant, and equipment, CapEx as a percentage of insurance provisions, capitalized deferred acquisition costs as a percentage of life insurance gross written premiums, deferred acquisition cost amortization as a percentage of the beginning tax balance, reinsurance assumptions with the property and casualty reinsurance being a larger assumption as a percentage of its respective provisions. The idea there that property and casualty is more dependent on the reinsurance market than life insurance due to the uncertainty of the policies. And I have receivables as a percentage of insurance provisions, other assets as a percentage of insurance provisions, life and property and casualty investments as a percentage of investments in cash, other investments as a percentage of investments in cash, financial liabilities, which is debt payable. I'm hard coding that in. I'm assuming that stays constant. Payables as a percentage of total insurance provisions, and same for total liabilities. Those are some of the key balance sheet assumptions that I'm going to use throughout this model. Now you can see for row number 32, I have life insurance gross written premiums. So that's equal to last period's gross written premiums times 1 plus the growth rate assumption that I showed you earlier. We can go up there with F5, and you can see it's that 3% assumption. F5 enter to get back. Cell K as in kilo 4 is hard-coded the number 1 into it. So it's 1 plus that rate times last period's gross written premiums. Similar thing for non-life property and casualty gross written premiums, although we'll use F as in Foxtrot 9 as opposed to F as in Foxtrot 8 for column F as in Foxtrot. You can see it up here. I'll do F5 enter to get back down. Next, I'm going to forecast intangible assets, and I'm using the base method here, beginning, add, subtract, end. So starting here, beginning is last period's end. You can see we got the ending number from the balance sheet, row 68. So control left bracket to go down there. That's our ending assumption for goodwill and other intangibles. I'll do F5 enter to get back up. And so row 36 is just referencing that. Control left bracket, F5 enter. Then I'm subtracting amortization. Let's go up to row F as in Foxtrot 15 by pressing control left bracket, and you can see I have my intangible amortization amount forecast. That's what that's referencing. Then you sum up rows 36 and 37 to get the ending goodwill and other intangibles. Starting with the balance sheet and then building out that schedule. Next, we'll do the net property, plant, and equipment schedule. So you can see that references row 69 on the balance sheet. So I can do control left bracket to come down there and see what that historically was at the end of December of 2023. I'll do F5 enter to get back up. Similar to the previous schedule we did for goodwill and intangible assets, the beginning amount is just last period's end. So you can do control left bracket. It takes you right there. F5 enter to get back. You can see that's referencing row 44 with a mixed reference. CapEx is a product of the insurance provisions and an assumption in row 17. So I'll do control left bracket to show you that again. Again, CapEx as a percentage of insurance provisions is assumed to be 5 basis points per annum throughout the forecast. F5 enter to get back. And I can do the F5 menu to quickly go down to F as in Foxtrot 83 so that you can see these provisions. We've got life insurance provisions, some of which are unit linked, and then property and casualty provisions. So I'll press F5, enter to get back. So it's based on the sum of those provisions minus the unit linked, because we haven't included it in row 84, and it's times the 5 basis point assumption. Depreciation is based on assumption. It's a percentage of the beginning balance. You can see it references F as in Foxtrot 41. I'll go up, I'll use control left bracket to get up here, and you can see depreciation as a percentage of property, plant, and equipment from the beginning balance is given. I've hard coded that in as 3.4% throughout the life of the forecast. F5 enter to get back down. And then finally you sum rows 41 through 43 up. That's how you build out the net property, plant, and equipment. We'll also have a schedule for the deferred acquisition cost asset. So reference that from the balance sheet, row 77, control left bracket. We can see what it was as of the end of December. Then similar to our goodwill and other intangibles, as well as our property, plant, and equipment, the beginning balance for DAC is just last period's ending balance. Control left bracket, F5 enter to get back. You can see that that's locked in with a mixed reference to row 50. Capitalized acquisition costs. So that's going to be based on an assumption in row 18. So I'll do control left bracket. It's based on life gross written premiums. F5 enter. So I can do F5, F32 to quickly go to life. You can see we've already forecasted the life gross written premiums. F as in Foxtrot 5 enter to get back. Amortization is a product of the beginning balance and an assumption in row 19. Control left bracket to see that. That's the deferred acquisition cost amortization assumption of 20% of open deferred acquisition costs. In other words, the beginning balance. F as in Foxtrot 5 enter to get back. And you sum up Foxtrot 47 through Foxtrot 49. Lock that in with a mixed reference to flesh out the ending number. Those are the three of the key schedules. Now we'll move on to investments in cash. Total investments in cash is row 89 from the balance sheet minus 68 through 71 and 76 through 78. So you can see here row 89 is the total liabilities in equity. And then you're going to subtract key items. For example, 68 through 71, which is goodwill, your tangible assets, and the business that's been ceded to reinsurance companies. You'll also subtract out, to get that number, accounts receivable, the life insurance deferred acquisition costs, and then other assets. You can use F5 enter to go back up. That's how I get to total investments in cash. Cash and cash equivalents is that total investment amount minus the total investments, which are in row 56 and 57. Other investments is a product of total investments in cash times the assumption in row 25 of 2% of total investments in cash. F5 enter to get back. And then for property and casualty investments, you subtract the total and the unit link business, multiply it by row 85 on the balance sheet. So I'll take you down there. And that is the insurance provisions for property and casualty. So again, it's tied to insurance provisions. Then you divide by the sum of the provisions in row 83 and 85, netting out row 84, which is the unit-linked life insurance provisions. Unit-linked business, which is the unit-linked provisions, essentially, that's just a reference to row 84. So again, control left bracket, F5 enter. So that's how you build out the investments in cash. Unit-linked, or rather traditional life, is quite similar to property and casualty, but you'll subtract out 83 minus 84. So in other words, you're taking out the life insurance provisions minus the unit-linked piece of that, and you have the same denominator. So that's how you build out your total investments in cash schedule. Next, we'll forecast equity. So we'll start with the closing number in row 82. F5 enter to get back. Beginning balance is just last year's end. Net income will be referenced from the income statement. You can see that net income is in row 135, so I can do Control F bracket and see that there. F5 enter to get back. Dividends, I have a dividend schedule in row 158. So Control F bracket to reference that. You can see what the dividend forecast is. F5 enter to get back. Then finally, you sum those up to get the ending balance for equity. Before we go further, I want to remind you guys that there is some intentional circularities built into this model, as is the case with most robust 3 financial statement models. So you have to tell Excel that the circularities you have are intentional. To do that, press Alt, F as in Foxtrot, T as in Tango. Open up the menu, arrow down to formulas. You can see I've already checked enable iterative calculation. That's key. That's telling Excel that the circularities I've built into this model are indeed intentional. Press escape to get out of that. And now we'll come down here to the balance sheet. Goodwill and other intangibles. Well, we already built that out in row 38, so Control F bracket. This comes from the goodwill schedule that was built earlier in this video. Tangible assets, that references row 44. It's this intangible assets schedule, or rather tangible net property, plant, and equipment that we built out earlier in this video. That's where that number comes from. F5 enter. Then the amount of life business ceded to reinsurers is based on an assumption, and it's based on the insurance provisions, total life provisions in row 83, times Control F bracket to get to row 20, times this 40 basis point assumption. 40 basis points is the life reinsurance as a percentage of life provisions assumption. So I'll do F5 enter. P&C business is based on row 85, which is the property and casualty insurance provisions, times the assumption in row 21, so Control F bracket. You can see it's that reinsurance assumption of 9% as a percentage of property and casualty provisions. F5 enter to get back. Sum up rows 53 and 54, and you get the total life investments. So again, we forecasted those before. That's your traditional life plus your unit link business. I'll press F5 enter to get back. And then the unit linked life provisions, which are borne by policyholders, that references row 54. So I'll do Control F bracket. As you can see, we already have that. That's where that number comes from. Property and casualty investments, we've already forecasted. That's in row 55. So do Control F bracket. And it's this formula here. F5 enter to get back. Other investments, we referenced that from row 57 since we've already forecasted that out. F5 enter. Receivables are equal to an assumption times the life and property and casualty provisions, not including those that are borne by the policyholder. So I'll do Control F bracket. You can see receivables as a percentage of insurance provisions is one of the assumptions. We're assuming that assumption is 2.9%. F5 enter to get back. Deferred acquisition costs, that was already forecasted as well in the DAX schedule. So I'll do Control Left bracket to get up there, and you can see the schedule once more. F5 enter to get back. Other assets are a product of the assumption in row 23 times the sum of the insurance provisions, not including those unit link provisions borne by the policyholder. So I can do Control Left bracket. And as a percentage of insurance provisions, we assume other assets are 4% of that in this model. I have that hard coded throughout the forecast. F5 enter to get back. Cash and cash equivalents. Once again, that was part of the cash and total investment schedule. Control Left bracket to reference that. That's just your total investments in cash minus total investments. That's what that's referencing. F5 enter. And then total assets is the sum of 68 through 79, which we've been looking at, minus the part that's borne by the policyholder, which is row 73. Shareholders' equity. If the switch is on, it'll reference F as in Foxtrot 65. Otherwise, K as in Kilo 82. This is one of the ways I deal with the intentional circularities, is you can turn the shareholders' equity on and off. So if your model starts refing out where there's a bunch of hashtag ref errors, you can switch this on and off to resolve that. Life insurance provisions are just a product of row 83, which is last period's row 83. So last period's life insurance provisions times the sum of 1 plus the assumption in row 12. So I can do F12 with the F5 menu, and you can see that assumption, life insurance provisions growth rate, it grows at an increasing rate throughout our forecast. Then it levels off at 3% in 2027 and 2028. F5 enter. How much of those are borne by the policyholder? You just take row 83, multiply it by our assumption in row F as in Foxtrot 13, which is the unit link business as a percentage of total life insurance provisions. Remember, that's 19%. F5 enter to get back. For property and casualty, it's last period's number times 1 plus the assumption in row 14. So I can do F5, F14, and you can see that property and casualty assumption is 30 basis points in 2024 and then steadies off at 50 basis points through the remainder of the forecast. F5 enter. Financial liabilities, those are hard-coded assumption that just references row 26, Control Left bracket to get up there, 5 enter to get back. Payables is equal to the assumption in row 27 times the sum of the insurance provisions, not including the unit linked part of the provision. So I'll do Control Left bracket. You can see in row 27 there's a payables as percentage of insurance provisions assumption. Row 28, there's another assumption for other liabilities, which are based on a percentage of insurance provisions. I assume 4%. F5 enter to get back. Then you can sum those up and subtract out the part that's borne by the policyholder to get total liabilities and equity. Another good thing to check is to see if your balance sheet balances. To do that, I have an if statement where if total liabilities and equity minus total assets is less than K as in kilo 1, so less than $1. That's close enough for me to where I'll say that's balanced. If it's not balanced, if it's beyond $1 difference between the two, it'll throw off an error message. So that's how I use the if statement for balance check of this balance sheet. Next, I move on to the income statement now that the balance sheet has been built out. And there's a number of income statement assumptions around technical margins for the life insurance business, investment margins as a percentage of average investments, and I'm assuming 70% expenses as a percentage of technical margin for the life business. I also have assumptions for property and casualty. So those are a little simpler since this business has a large life insurance component and a small property and casualty component, but I use some fairly straightforward assumptions. Net premium earned as a percentage of the gross written premiums at 95%. I assume a loss ratio on claims of 65%. High expense ratio as well at 28.5%. There is an investment margin of 260 basis points as a percentage of average investments, and other OPEX as a percentage of net premiums earned is forecast to be 1%. Other investment income as a percentage of average investments, I forecast that at 2.8%. Other operating income, I'm hard coding in $450 of loss there. Non-operating expense, similar, I'm hard coding that in. I've got tax assumptions and interest expense assumptions for the financial liabilities. I assume diluted weighted average shares outstanding. That references row 137, so you can control F bracket to get there, F5 enter to get back. Now moving down to the income statement itself. The technical margin for the life insurance business is forecasted as follows. It references row 95. So it's a product of the assumption shown earlier times the average of this period and last period's balances in row 83 minus 70. So we'll do F83. You can see that's the life insurance provisions minus the part that's ceded to reinsurers. So the technical margin will be 1.5% of the average of the difference between the provisions and that which is ceded to reinsurance companies. Investment margin is going to be based on row 96. So the investment margin as a percentage of average investments. And we can see what those are in row 72. That's the life insurance investment, since this is the life insurance piece. DAC amortization, deferred acquisition cost amortization, that's referenced to row 49. Schedule, F5 enter to get back. Other expenses is a product of the assumption, row 97, times row 116. which is the technical margin. So it's driven by the technical margin. The operating result is just simply sum those numbers up. For the property and casualty net premiums earned, that's just a product of rows 33 and 99, control left bracket, and that is the non-life gross written premiums times the assumption in row 99. So I'll do F5, F as in Foxtrot 99. You can see we have the net earned premium assumption as a percentage of gross written premiums for property and casualty. 5 enter to get back. Claims expense is based on the loss ratio assumption. So you do control left bracket and you can see that was 65%. F5 enter. Multiplied by net premiums earned. So it's just the negative of net premiums earned times that loss ratio assumption. Acquisition and administrative costs, that's based on net premiums earned times the assumption in row 101, which was our expense ratio of 28.5%. 5 enter to get back. Investment margin is based on the product of row 102 times the average of 70, row 74. So control left bracket. You can see that assumption was investment margin as a percentage of the average investments. And I will do F5 to get to row 74. You can see that was based on the average of E as in Echo and F as in Foxtrot, the property and casualty investments. Other OpEx is going to be based on net premiums earned times the assumption in row 103, which was other OpEx as a percentage of net premiums earned. F5 enter to get back. Property and casualty operating result, you just sum up rows 122 through 126. And then investment income, other investment income, is based on average other investments times the assumption in row 105, which was other investment income as a percentage of average investments. F5 enter to get back. I'll do F as in Foxtrot 5, go up to row 75, and you can see the other investments, which refers to the other investment schedule. F as in Foxtrot 5, enter. Now we come down to other operating income and expense. This is something I had hard coded into the assumptions. So you control left bracket to get there. F as in Foxtrot 5, enter. Get down. Total operating result. Again, you just sum up rows 120 plus 127 through 129. So row 120 was the life operating result. Then you've got other non-operating expense. That's assumed to be $400 per year. Control left bracket, and you can see I had built that assumption in. F5 enter. Interest expense is based on the interest rate times the average of the debt balances built into row 86. So control left bracket. You can see the assumption was 2% per year. Then I'll do F5, reference row 86, and you can see what the financial liabilities were. Those reference the original balance sheet assumption. Take out those expenses by summing rows 130 through 132, and you have your profit before tax. Then you have your taxes, which is that pre-tax income times the tax assumption. You use the effective tax rate of 33%, and that gets you to net income. Then we have diluted weighted average shares. Remember, those just reference row 137. So that just E is an echo 137. That's how I get those. The diluted earnings per share is simply 135 divided by 137. So it's the profit per year divided by the weighted average number of shares. And I will change this so that it's just general, since this is a share amount. That is the share amount. And then you can see dividends per share. We'll come down to solvency capital assumptions. I've built those in. Own funds as a percentage of the solvency capital ratio. This has to be a minimum of 100%. Under the current regulatory regime, I'm assuming 200%. Then we have financial and credit risk as a percentage of total assets, excluding intangibles, and underwriting risk as a percentage of net insurance provisions. And then this diversification benefit, which is hard-coded in, that's normally calculated by actuaries. I'm assuming this is the correct number. So that would be $9 billion, 9.129 billion. Then based on those, you can build out the capital requirement. So you take the assumptions in row 143, multiply by rows 68, 77, and 80. So I can come up there, F80, which was total assets minus the DAC asset and minus the goodwill. So in other words, excluding intangibles. So by excluding the intangibles from the total assets, you're able to write that out. Underwriting risk is going to be based on net insurance provisions, which are in rows 83 and 85, minus what's in rows 70 and 71. So that, again, is the parts that are ceded to reinsurance companies. So ignoring those, you have the underwriting risk. Then you include in the diversification benefit. From row 145. Sum those up, and that's how you get the solvency capital requirement, the regulatory capital requirement. Then you come down here to shareholders' equity. Again, that references row 82, control left bracket, F5, enter. The intangibles and DAC asset is just the intangible plus DAC, which is rows 68 and 77. F5 to get back. Mark-to-market insurance reserves and adjustments. That's just going to be last period, so I'm going to straight line that from the historicals. Similar to subordinated liabilities, so that's an assumption that effectively, by summing up rows 156 and subtracting out row 86, I'm assuming the subordinated liabilities stay constant. Other adjustments in row 157. Based on all that, you can back out the proposed dividend from your own funds. So it's own funds minus the sum of the other stuff, and that's how we're able to back the dividends out of the model and assume that the insurance company meets its regulatory capital requirements throughout the forecast. Now we get to the dividend discount model itself, since we've forecasted the three financial statements. And what I do here, I'm just hard coding in cost of equity assumptions and a long-term growth rate. We've got shares in issue, and add a comma there. And so you have your beginning equity from row 169, which is just previous period's end. Net income comes from row 63, so control left bracket. F5 enter to get back. Minus our proposed dividend from row 64, which references row 158, the proposed dividend, and that gets us to ending equity. Terminal value is calculated using the Gordon growth method. So you've got J as in Juliet 168, which is the dividend assumption for that year, times sum of 1 plus row 163, which is the growth rate, dividend times 1 plus growth rate, divided by rows 162 minus 163, which is the cost of equity minus the growth rate. So it's Gordon growth, perpetual dividend. Then you have the year count, discount factors based off that. And based off the discount factors, you can take the present value of the dividends along with the terminal value, the present value of the terminal value, and sum those up to get the equity value. Therefore, an implied share price. You can divide the total equity value by the net income to get an implied multiple. That's the end of the model. So you build out the three financial statements, you get the implied dividends, which you back out of the model. You discount those at the cost of equity, since dividends are a proxy for levered free cash flow. You calculate terminal value and add all that up, and that gets you the implied market cap, the intrinsic market cap of the insurance company. Take this knowledge into the marketplace to be better at modeling life insurance companies and better understand the financial statements of life insurance companies. Have a great day. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave a comment below, and please buy my books. The links to those will be in the description of this video.